G'day everybody, welcome to part 3 of our algorithms lesson, which is all part of the programming fundamentals topic for software engineering. In this particular video, we're going to go over what's called desk checks, okay? And they are incredibly handy off the back of algorithms to do things like finding errors in your code. Now, if you don't understand what an algorithm is, jump back to the last 2 videos because you better learn that first before you actually start trying to check for errors in them. So essentially, what a desk check is, it is a tool where you list out all the variables in your code plus an extra column for the output of your code. And anytime a variable is assigned a value or that value changes, we simply write the value under the correct heading. And so in some instances, you see people will cross out the value and write the new value. I don't see the point in crossing it out. I just simply write the new value at the bottom, knowing full well that that's the value for the variable. Okay, such as this will be now 12, that's going to be Bob, that's going to be true, and the final output was welcome. And the whole purpose of this is to essentially go through our lines of code in our algorithm with a fine-tooth comb, one line at a time, to see if we can find any logic errors or runtime errors before we give that algorithm to our programmers so they don't follow it nitty-gritty and then code an error and break the entire software solution. So let's jump in. What do we do? Well, let's have a look at this code. Let me move my big... no, I'm not in the way. Fantastic. I have written this little bit of code here. I haven't named it on purpose because I want you to have a look at it first of all. What I'd suggest you do is pause the video, see if you can figure out roughly what this code is supposed to be doing, and then we'll come back and we'll figure out how to set up a desk check. So pause. And we're back. I'm not going to tell you what this code does. In fact, we're just going to get straight into the desk check. So what you do with a desk check, boys and girls, is you first of all have a look for all the different variables in the code. And some are easy to spot because they're highlighted white. And some of them are not so easy to spot because they're actually highlighted blue because of the highlighting method I used. Now you might notice in this one, I've used sets and I've used display instead of get and print. Exact same thing. It's not an issue. So let's have a look. We have got one variable and number. We've got one for counter, one for sum, and I think that is everything. Yep. The only other thing we've got is this user input. So realistically, all that is, that's the same as if you were using Python and you use the input to command, use the input command to get a value for your variable. So let's set up our desk check. I'm going to head over to good old Microsoft Whiteboard. Before I do though, I'm going to take a screen grab like so, paste it into here. We've got that lovely dot. How amazing. And what we're going to do is set up that table. So let's go a column for end number, a column for the counter, a column for sum. And if that's all of our variables, we now need one more, which is going to be used for output. So essentially what output is anytime you use the print command or display, you write down what's displayed inside the output command. Let's see how neat I can get these lines. Not overly, but we will do. Now what we're going to do, we are going to pretend we are a computer and we're being told exactly what to do. And we are literally going to go through one line at a time until we get to end, and we're going to see what the behavior of the code was. So let's undo that for a sec. We are going to start with line number 1. That's just begin. It doesn't do anything. Now we go to line 3. Set end number to user input. So I get to choose what this number is going to be. For this test, I am just simply going to do 5 because that seems like a decent number of times for this code to work. Okay, set counter to 0 is line 4. So we write a 0. Set sum to 0. So we have now completed. Wow, that black is not showing, funnily enough, on black. So those lines of code are done. Now, extra points if you can identify what control structure these guys are. Okay, moving along. We've got a while loop, okay? Again, points if you can tell me what kind of control structure this is. So line 7 basically says while counter is less than 5. Well, counter is currently 0. So is 0 less than 5? I severely hope you're yelling yes at the screen. So we're going to go down to line 8. Set counter, so we're changing this guy here, to counter, which is 0 plus 1. What is 0 plus 1? Well, fun fact, it is 1. Okay, so there's that line of code done. Then we move on to the next one. Line 9, set sum to sum plus counter. So sum is 0, counter is 1. So what is 0 plus 1? Again, it is 1. So let's grab a black. And we just continue this process until we finish. So we hit an end while. Now, hopefully you remember your while loops, because that means we're not finished. We go back up to the condition here and we check if it's still true. If this condition stays true, we keep repeating the body of the code or body of the loop so long as this stays true. Okay, so let's keep going. While counter is less than 5, or 1 is less than 5, set counter to 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. Okay, then we go to the next one, set sum plus counter. So it is 1 plus 2, so that's going to be 3. Okay, I hope you're starting to see the pattern a little bit. And while, jump back up. Is counter less than 5? Yes, he is. Set counter to counter plus 1. So hopefully you understand these are just going up by 1, as you can see. Set sum, which is now 3, to sum plus counter, which is also 3. So that's 6. All right, go back up. Is counter still less than 5? Yes, it is. So let's go counter equals counter plus 1. Set sum to sum, which is 6, plus counter. 6 plus 4 is friend of 10, as my daughter would say. Go back up. Check your while loop again. Is 4 less than 5? Hell yes, it is. Set counter to counter plus 1. So let's go up to 5. Set sum to sum plus counter. Okay, so that is going to be good old 15. Okay, and then we'll go back up to our loop. Is 5 less than 5? No, it isn't. Jump down to this line of code here. Display, counter, and sum. So counter is 5. Sum is 15. Job done. That is a desk check. Done and dusted, because we just hit end at the bottom. And this is what happens. You simply are tracking the values of your variables as you go through one line at a time until you hit the end. And then at the end, you look back on your values, or you look at what the hell happened, and you try and figure out the errors. Quite often, if you've got like a runtime error or a logic error, you often find that error before you even get to the last line of code. And then you can start fixing it, start importing fixes to those things, etc., etc. Okay, so with that one done and dusted, if we look over it, the purpose of this code, okay, is simply to add the numbers 1 to 5 together. 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Maybe? Maybe there's an error. Just to prove to people that it wasn't an error. Okay. So this one actually works perfectly fine. There are no errors in this code. There is nothing wrong with it. This is just a test to see how you go with the desk check, just to show you with a loop how to go through line by line by line. Okay. So to make things a little bit harder, I'm going to give you your own challenge. Now, if you missed anything, there we go. This one right here, this is slightly different. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to do your own desk check, and I'd like you to use the number 10 for the user input this time around. So first of all, go through and identify what the variables are, make those headings in a table, plus 1 extra for the output, and then simply go through the code one line at a time. Okay, and anytime your variable changes or it updates or it's given a value, write down that new value underneath and just go through until you hit the end and see if you can find the error in this code. Okay, hopefully this video made sense, guys, and you're pretty good with error checking your algorithms with desk checks, and I'll see you in the next one.